Hey guys, what's going on? Jeb here, and in today's video we're going to be doing a little bit of technical analysis on Bitcoin and the cryptocurrency markets, and more specifically we're going to continue talking about Bitcoin's consolidation pattern here that it is currently in, but we're also going to be talking about a signal coming from the Bitcoin shorts chart that I think tells us a lot about the direction that Bitcoin is going to eventually break out of this consolidation pattern. As we can see here, if we go to the Bitcoin shorts chart, Bitcoin shorts have been dropping quite quickly here over the last 24 to 48 hours or so. But as we can see here on the price action chart, Bitcoin hasn't really responded by gaining a lot of valuation, even if we look at the Bitfinex chart, which is the chart that shows price action of Bitcoin on the exact same exchange that these shorts are listed on, also on Bitfinex. This is a very interesting development and actually tells us a lot about the situation that Bitcoin is currently in and gives us an idea as to which direction Bitcoin is eventually going to break out of this consolidation pattern. So we're going to be discussing all of that and more in today's video. If you do enjoy today's video, though, definitely consider dropping a like, hitting that subscribe button, and smashing the notification bell so you'll be updated every time a new premiere starts or every time a new video goes live. But without much further ado, let's go ahead and get right into it. Bitcoin across... well, not across all exchanges, but Bitcoin on Coinbase anyway is currently trading around $3,800 and about $100 higher on Bitfinex as it normally does. But as we can see here on Bitfinex, Bitcoin on Bitfinex still has not broken out of its consolidation pattern because we could draw the downtrend right there and we could draw the uptrend right there. Bitcoin is still well and truly in this consolidation pattern, even though these shorts have been dropping quite quickly over here on the Bitfinex exchange. We'll be talking about that a little bit more in a second, but first I want to get on into the crypto market recap and talk about what's going on in the altcoin market. Because across all exchanges, Bitcoin is currently trading around $3,860 and some change. Is down by about 0.25% over the last 24 hours. But the altcoin market is a little bit different because if we sort by change over the last 24 hours here, we're going to see that we have 3 double-digit gainers, Litecoin being one of them. I'll probably end up doing an altcoin technical analysis video tomorrow or the video after because a lot has developed since I've done one of those. It's been about a month or so since I've done a top 10 altcoin technical analysis video. So tell me in the comment section down below if that's something you guys would like to see. Hollow and ODIM are also both up in the double-digit green. But we scroll down here, we actually see that the altcoin market is basically split. We have about the same number of gainers as we do losers, but we only have one double-digit loser. That would be Mobile Go, down almost 15%. And if we come back here sorting by market capitalization, we're going to see Bitcoin's volumes hovering around 5 billion, Ethereum around 3 billion. Nothing really to write home about there. Not a whole lot to write home about at all on CoinMarketCap. You guys know I like that phrase. I use it too much. But anyway, let's go ahead and get back on into the technical analysis. I do want to talk about the shorts, but we're going to get into that in just a second because there is something else I want to talk about as it relates to this consolidation pattern. And that is that this consolidation pattern is extremely tight right now, and it's going to be closing in on itself sometime today, maybe tomorrow if we have to redraw these trend lines a little bit. And there's something I want to point out and a little bit of a disclaimer I want to make before it potentially happens, and that is that most of the time consolidation patterns will break bullish or break bearish. About 95% of the time in my experience, normally even higher, Bitcoin will break either bullish or bearish out of one of these consolidation patterns. It will break in a spectacular way above the resistance or break in a spectacular way below the uptrend of support. But that's not always what happens, because there is a case in some instances where Bitcoin will actually just trade straight sideways out of a consolidation pattern. Now, for the last couple of days, we've been talking about whether or not Bitcoin is going to break a bullish here or break a bearish. But I also want to talk about the possibility of Bitcoin trading sideways, because some people in the comment section were saying, oh, well, Jeb, you said Bitcoin could go up or Bitcoin could go down. Well, what's left to go? Could Bitcoin go sideways? Well, actually, yes, Bitcoin can trade sideways out of this. One thing that Bitcoin can also do is Bitcoin can just trade straight sideways. I've seen that happen a lot, and I'll give you a good example of the last time that happened. If we come here to the 4-hour chart, we saw a very similar thing happen on Bitcoin back over here just a couple of months ago, where we saw this downtrend of resistance right here. And as you can see, Bitcoin was in a descending triangle pattern right here. We had our downtrend of resistance, a flat level of support at $6,000. That constitutes a descending triangle pattern, and we kept trading straight sideways out of it. As you can see, we didn't have a lot of volatility. We didn't have a lot of trader interest. There weren't a lot of people in the market at this time. So Bitcoin didn't actually have a spectacular breakout of this. We just kept having to redraw this downtrend again and again and again until eventually the downtrend looked something like that. And it really didn't even mean anything anymore because it had gotten away from all these touches that it had right back over here, right there, and right there. So that's one thing that can happen. Now, I'm not saying that that's what's most likely to happen to Bitcoin here. I do feel a lot of tension in the market. After you've been trading in the market and looking at the markets for a long time, you can kind of feel when there's that tension. And it does feel like there's quite a bit of tension in Bitcoin. But at the same time right now, it also kind of feels like there's not as much as there should be. Like I mentioned in a previous video, These consolidation patterns are kind of like when you take a big spring and you push it in on itself. You coil that spring up, and then when you let go, there's a bunch of tension. It's got all that potential energy that it wants to let out. A similar thing happens when you have a consolidation pattern here, because we had all of this volatility over here, and now where'd the volatility go? Well, the volatility's gone, but the people that were making that volatility, they're still here. We didn't see the number of investors and the number of people in the market drop off as quickly as we saw the volatility drop off, which means we have this kind of tension right here that is waiting to be broken. But one thing that, like I said, you can also see is that sometimes that tension just won't be broken, and you'll trade straight sideways out of it. So keep an eye on that. Just because we're in a consolidation pattern doesn't always mean that you're guaranteed to see some kind of major breakout. Sometimes you don't. Like I said, I think we're probably going to see some kind of breakout, but the size of that breakout also depends on how much of that trader interest and volume and valuation is still in the market, and how much of that volatility can come back in a quick manner after a breakout. Anyway, after we've talked about that, let's go ahead, now that we've talked about that, I should say, let's go ahead and talk about the shorts chart, because that's one thing I also wanted to touch on in today's video. If we come out here to the daily chart on the shorts chart, this shows the number of shorts on the Bitfinex exchange. You guys are probably familiar with Bitfinex. It's one of the largest cryptocurrency exchanges there is, and it does have trading for shorting. It does have margin trading. And what we can see here over the last couple of weeks, really most of December, Bitcoin shorts have been going down. And as we've talked about many times on the channel, Bitcoin likes when the shorts go down. And as we can see here, Bitcoin is getting what it likes, because Bitcoin shorts were up here around 43,000 not that long ago, and now they're down here around 27,000. And especially over the last 3 days, we've seen shorts drop quite quickly. They were sitting up here around 33,000. Now they're down here around 2750. But what does that mean? Well, you have to understand what a short is first, and I'm sure a lot of you guys are familiar with what shorts are, but I'll go ahead and catch you up if you're not. There's something you wear on your legs, and you can put stuff in them, and they cover you up. Now, actually, what a short is it's basically a way for you to bet against the market. What you do is you borrow someone else's Bitcoin, in this case, you sell it at market value, and then you have to cover that position later by buying Bitcoin back at a lower price. So let's say you bought Bitcoin. Let's say you shorted Bitcoin at $6,000, you borrowed some Bitcoin, you sold it at $6,000, then you come down here to $3,000. If Bitcoin goes this low, then you buy back at $3,000, you give the person their initial Bitcoin that you borrowed back, and you pocket the difference. That's a way that you can make money when the market is declining. And what that means is that when you close a short position, in other words, you buy back into Bitcoin to cover yourself and give that Bitcoin back, what that means is that when you close a short position, you're putting buying pressure on the market, which means that when shorts go down like this, that typically means that Bitcoin is having an inverse correlation with that, and that typically means that Bitcoin is moving to the upside, because when people are closing shorts, they're putting buying pressure on the market, and also when shorts are going down, that typically correlates with other bullish price action and other bullishness in the market, which is interesting, because what we've seen here over the last couple of days is that Bitcoin shorts have declined quite a lot. If we take our ruler out here, we can see that Bitcoin shorts have declined by almost 20% in the last 3 days, and we haven't really seen any kind of major bullish price action come from that here in this consolidation pattern. A lot of times when you see that many shorts be closed, we probably see Bitcoin trading up here around like $4,000 right now, but we haven't seen that, partially because we're in this consolidation pattern. So what does all that mean? Well, that can be interpreted a lot of different ways, but one of the ways I like to interpret that is that since Bitcoin shorts have gone down and since Bitcoin has not gone up, that means that Bitcoin is not as bullish as we may have thought it was. And the reason for that is because if Bitcoin had all of this bullishness coming from shorts being closed, because 6,000 short positions being closed, that's a lot of Bitcoin being covered, because all those positions, I mean, that's thousands of Bitcoin worth of buying pressure being put on the market. And if we were to try and go in here and see what every transaction was, we'd see that there's a lot of buying pressure going into Bitcoin. But what seems to be happening is one of two things. You could see that overall the market just isn't as bullish as it was, or especially in the last couple of days since Bitcoin has had these shorts declining, then you see that Bitcoin has been even more bearish than we perhaps thought it was, and maybe the only reason that it was looking very bullish in a time like that and a time like that was because of closing short positions and kind of a miniature short squeeze. Not a short squeeze, because short squeeze are domino effects, but anyway, I think you guys get my point. Since we see that Bitcoin shorts are declining, we would have liked to see that Bitcoin is rallying more in accordance with that, but we haven't seen that, and that's a bearish sign. Let's go ahead and put the little ribbon on top and say that that's basically the point I'm trying to make here. I was hoping to see more bullish price action coming from so many short positions being closed, but nevertheless, that's not what we've seen. As we can also look here on the Bitcoin longs chart, and we can also see that longs have been rising very, very quickly. That means a lot of people are buying into the market. People are buying a ton of Bitcoin. As you can see, long positions are going up and up and up and up and up, and we still haven't seen that bullishness come out of Bitcoin that we would have liked to hope. Now, like I said, you can take that in the first way that I mentioned. You can take that as we're more bearish because all of these good things are happening on the longs and shorts chart, and Bitcoin isn't moving up. Or you can say that the reason that Bitcoin isn't moving up is because all of that bullishness coming from the shorts chart and from the longs chart is building into the tension that is being set up here in this trap here in the consolidation pattern. I was thinking of like some kind of spring trap. You have the spring, and then when the spring gets released, then the trap goes flying and does its damage, and you can see that Bitcoin might do the very same as it actually gets out of this consolidation pattern, and a lot of that bullish tension that has been built here by the shorts chart and the longs chart comes out and shows itself here over the next couple of days. Tell me in the comment section down below what you think of that analysis. Do you think that Bitcoin should have already broken out of this consolidation pattern, partially because of the Bitcoin shorts going down and the Bitcoin longs going up? I think that we probably should have already seen a breakout, which is slightly concerning. I think there's a larger chance now that Bitcoin trades sideways out of this consolidation pattern than there was a couple of days ago. But overall, I am still ever so slightly more bullish than I am bearish. Tell me in the comment section down below if you think Bitcoin is going to break out of this consolidation pattern, if it's going to trade sideways, and if you think it is going to have a proper major breakout. What are your price targets? Where do you think Bitcoin is going to go to? I am interested in reading your opinions in the comment section down below. As always, you guys know I read every single comment, and I do try and get back to as many of you guys as I possibly can. Anyway, guys, that is basically going to do it for today's video. I apologize for being shorter, but a lot of times when you see low volatility in the market like this, there's not a whole lot to talk about. Also, tell me in the comment section down below if you'd like me to do an altcoin technical analysis video tomorrow, especially if nothing really has happened on Bitcoin, so that we definitely have something interesting to talk about. Anyway, guys, that is basically going to do it for this video. Just like I just said, I want to thank each and every single one of you for watching as always, and I will see you guys in the next video. Peace.